Hello my friends, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. And today I'm going to be covering the first part of the tell-all. Depending on how long it is, I might make it into 2 parts, we'll see. Maybe we have more talking points than I thought. So guys, I thought the tell-all was pretty tame from what I've seen thus far. We have repetitions of arguments we've already had, lies already told, and quite frankly lots of things we'd rather not see again. But hey ho, who am I to complain? You know the Ebird, she normally keeps her opinions to herself. And so we start out the tell-all, and we have the usual roundup of all the couples getting ready. And obviously this reunion's going to be yet another Zoom reunion. So everybody's getting ready at home and setting up their laptops. And to start off with, it looks as if Kalani's going to be on her own. But then at the very last minute, Asuelu turns up. Sean remarks, "Wow, we really didn't know if Asuelu was going to turn up or not." Sean, he was always going to turn up. 1, because he's contractually obliged to do so. 2, he doesn't get paid if he fails to turn up for the tell-all. And 3, his sister Tammy makes an appearance later on in the tell-all. So it was extremely unlikely that she was going to be on the tell-all, and Asuelu was not. Asuelu was always going to turn up because he had a dollar bill to collect on behalf of his sister Tammy and his mum.
"I want my money! Where's my money?"
Oh Sean, I hope this isn't an indication of things to come. And Colt's there with Mother Debbie, and Colt says it's not fair because he has both an ex-wife and an ex-girlfriend there. Right, I see. So it's not fair because you completely failed to maintain a relationship. And Sean asks when was the last time that Colt saw Larissa, and he says Larissa and he have not spoken since the last tell-all. Larissa doesn't want to speak to you until the next tell-all, Colt. I.e. never, because she's been fired. Elizabeth and Andrei make an appearance. Andrei has peasant food tattooed onto his arm, lest he should forget. And Elizabeth said that she and Andrei are spending far too much time together and it's having a toll on their relationship. Oh really? Well, it was absolutely diabolical before, so if something's had a toll on that relationship, what does it take it to? Utterly infeasible? Let me know. And Tanya's there with Syngin, and when asked how the relationship's going, Tanya said okay, and she said she's looking out for Syngin, but she needs to look out for herself as well. And she said the issue of children has come up, but they're not even sure about their relationship at the moment. I am Tanya. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's doomed. Angela and Michael make an appearance. Obviously Michael's still in Nigeria. Angela, congratulations on the wedding and condolences for your mum. And I do think that was a very difficult storyline for Angela to have to deal with. As you know, she was extremely close to her mum. And I saw lots of people saying, I wouldn't travel if my mum was so ill. From what I saw, her mum's been ill for like years and years. You can't never do anything just in case. Although it was extremely unfortunate how it all transpired. I think her mum benefited from having her look after her personally for all those years at home. So yep, hats off to Angela. So after all the introductions, it's time to get right into it. And we start off with Colt, Larissa and Jess. And Colt says, "Hi Jess, how are you?" with a half smirk on his face. Jess said, "Go away, I don't want to talk to you. I'll only talk to Debbie." And then Debbie said, "We have nothing to talk about." Ugh. And this whole part of the storyline is turgid. Larissa starts screaming, you bitch at Debbie. Debbie's highly irritating, but I think it's fair to say that your problem, really Larissa, is with Colt. And also this happened so very long ago now that I would have imagined that you'd calm down somewhat. But then the weirdest thing of all happened, Andrei started piping up. And he kind of said something under his breath about brand new 3D printout Larissa. And he said, "I don't recognise her. She's like Michael Jackson 3.0. Oh Andrei, what does it have to do with you? Larissa pointed out, at least I have a job. Shall I go there? I know people are going to get into my comments and say, Emma, you're trying to shame sex workers. But I don't know that she actually has a job. I don't think that she really does. I mean, I guess maybe she can call herself an influencer or something like that. But until very recently, in essence, you and Andrei have exactly the same job as each other. You're reality TV stars. So neither one of you is any better or any worse than the other." But then Shane asked Larissa, "Are you going to have any more work done?" And Larissa said she wants to have a Brazilian butt lift, a tummy tuck and liposuction, all in one procedure. But I guess if you're going to go in, you may as well go all in. And I think that Larissa gets somewhat of a bad edit because people think, oh my god, she's so vacuous, she's getting all this work done. What's it all for? It's to make money. We've seen countless celebrities, countless reality TV stars and countless influencers now do exactly the same and make a pretty penny out of this whole fake body thing. And whilst it's not my thing, it's not for me, don't hate the hustle. And if I'm really honest and think about it, we're all to blame. Because when we're buying products, when we're buying clothes, when we're buying makeup, who are we allowing to sell to us? These are all these girls. So if people are so against it, stop pressing buy now right next to an image of their likeness. That should do the trick. And so the whole time this was happening, Eric was sitting next to her and he said a couple of things and they were so uninteresting I can't even remember what they were. And suddenly, guys, it's finally hit me. So I've had quite a few people asking, why do I wait a day or two before I do my reviews? And this is the reason why. Because I have more angles for you when I've sat and thought about it for a minute. And so I've come up with another idea as to why Larissa might really have been let go by TLC. So Eric is uninteresting at best, some might say boring. And as we know, they've bought a house in Colorado together. And the TLC cameras were watching them go from Las Vegas to set up home in Colorado. And they were halfway through filming another season. And I think two things happened. Firstly, production realised there's no usable material here. They're so boring, it's unbelievable. When you remove people like Colt and Debbie and Jessica from Larissa's life, what more is there left? Every single scene last season was boring except the ones that she filmed with Jessica. Eric doesn't exactly give a scintillating conversation, and the two of them together have absolutely no chemistry. I do not believe they're a couple, but even if I'm wrong and they are a couple, they're an extremely dull and uninteresting one. And I think TLC probably paid quite a bit to actually cover the story, but also they've got to have a film crew and sound guys and so on there. And they probably realised because there's no usable material, let's just pull out, let's look through our contracts and look for a reason why we can renege on this and go. I don't think that the PORN aspect stands up to any reasonable scrutiny, and I'd forgotten another thing. Remember Stephanie, aka Porno Granny? She was actually on Pornhub whilst she was simultaneously on this show, and she was in an awful lot of scenes. So if TLC had a visceral dislike of the porn industry, surely they would have thought about it then. There's more to this Larissa firing than meets the eyes, so guys, let me know down below what you think. I'm kind of interested to know if you think there's anything in my little theory. But anyway, we continue. And Andrei and Larissa are in full flow now arguing. And Andrei said, where are your kids? And Eric and Larissa both start shouting at him, saying the kids are nothing to do with you. And Larissa said, I don't want to talk to you at all. Why are you interested? And Andrei said, well, at least I look after my child. And all I'll say on this is none of us know the situation with Larissa's kids, including you, Andrei, so I don't see the point of really bringing it up. And Syngin said, make sure that you save some of your money and send it to your kids. Syngin? How do you know she hasn't? Why is there an automatic assumption that she will have used all £100,000 on herself and not sent any back to her kids? I get your point, but a better way to have phrased it would be, have you sent any to your kids? I don't know, I just find it quite interesting. And then Sean takes the opportunity to ask Andrei, are you still looking after baby Eleanor full time? Are you still a house husband? And he said, yes, so what of it? And Sean said, wait, hold up. You're being very defensive. Sean, come on now, Sean, please stop. Have you asked any of the women over the past tell-alls that are stay-at-home mums, do you still stay at home and look after your kid? No, you haven't. So you're making a very specific point, aren't you? And then Shane doubles down and says, do you do all the work that a woman is supposed to do in the house? And Elizabeth answered for him. She said no. He takes the trash out and he washes the car. That's about it. And then we descend into a cast-wide argument of what does it mean to be the man of the house. And Tania said, we're too concerned about male and female's roles within the family. Everybody needs to work something out that works for them. Finally, I agree with Tania wholeheartedly. Reasonable Tania should come round to tea more often. And Elizabeth looked quite angry and she said to him, you could be doing a lot more. And the truth be told, I think Elizabeth's mainly mad because her family don't like it. And the fact that Andrei tries to dominate her and she thinks, why should I be bringing all the money into the house yet still be being told what to do by you from your place on the sofa playing computer games? And I kind of get that. And then Sean asks Kalani, what does Asuelu do in the house? Miss, pick me. Ebird can answer that. Wash the pots, he washes the pots. Looks after the children, he looks after the children. Tidies up, he tidies up. Cleans the bathroom, he sometimes cleans the bathroom. And then Kalani confirms that he does the odd occasional job, but nothing consistent. He does all the outside work. Outside work? What outside work? Oh God, not the apples. Asuelu, Kalani's already told you, raking up apples won't change her life. Well, maybe he does only do things occasionally, but I bet it's pretty hard doing the housework from Washington. And Colt says, does he get an allowance? And who laughs at this? Colt and Syngin. What? The two biggest mummies boys there. Neither one of you is gainfully employed. Neither one of you pays your own rent. And both of you have a female in your life who completely and utterly dominates you. And sometimes, guys, I notice this about people. Because they're feeling a certain way about their position in life or where they are or how they're perceived, they can't wait to jump onto who they deem to be a weaker character and throw all the shade that's being thrown at them on that weaker character. Out of everybody here, Colt and Syngin should not be laughing at Asuelu's childishness. They're the two people least qualified to be able to do it. And Sean asked, do you think Andrei's behaviour has improved at all? And Jen said no, he's aggressive and he's very cold and he doesn't seem to want to like our family. What do you think about that, Elizabeth? Elizabeth agrees. He can be aggressive and mean. Guys, this is so much horse shit. There's no way Elizabeth would be sitting next to her husband and saying all of this unless they weren't trying out for their own spin-off show. And then Sean asks again, what does it mean to be the man of the house? And Andrei said, I'm the man of my house. It's because I'm the most rational person in my house. But this is just my house. What you're doing in your house is your problem. And Sean said, so you think that you're more rational? I don't know how Andrei works that one out. I just don't know. I think he's more dominant. That's definitely true. Libby must be a PMS-riddled psychotic loonball to be less rational than Andrei. And by a show of hands, everybody agreed that there is no man of the house. Now we take a look back down memory lane to last week's episode to see what Elizabeth's family said about Moldova. Nothing good. It's really just a massive dig at Andrei. Jen started it at the airport, so she wanted not to like it. She said it's gloomy, just as I expected. Charlie said, does Amazon deliver? And it's a great pity they didn't, because I would have had him delivered straight back to Florida. And then they descended to the comments about peasant food. And Sean asked Andrei what his reaction was to what Libby's family said about his country and his culture. And Andrei said, you're going on about this pig fat, but it's exactly the same as bacon. Andrei, with all due respect, I looked at that and it looked just like a slice of fat. I couldn't see the meat, I must confess. But he said it's not peasant food. And Chuck said, well, it's things that we wouldn't eat, it's things that we would throw out. And Jen said it's not like rude, it's like just stating facts. But I think what Jen and Chuck just don't get is the fact that even though yes it's fat and we would throw the fat away, that's obviously a delicacy there and they enjoy eating the fat. They're choosing to eat it. With the massive spreads that they put on, it didn't look as if they were scraping around for food. This is the food that they eat in their country. I just don't know why that's hard for some people to understand. I used to live in China and when I was there, they ate chicken's feet all the time, fried chicken's feet. And to me it was the most awful thing ever. But that's just what they do there. It's normal. And again, guys, WTF is happening. Tania said, you can all have your opinions, but you don't have to be rude. My God. Libby's family is so offensive. You're making me side with Tania. You're forcing me to side with her and to agree with her every comment. And then they show the big non-fight again. And they pick over it. Elizabeth says she doesn't like being in the middle of a fight between her family and her husband. And she saw a side of her husband that was so aggressive. She thought he was a pussycat. He used to be a police officer in Moldova. She didn't know he was aggressive. He used to be a bouncer on a door of a nightclub in Ireland. She didn't know he was aggressive. Oh, for God's sake, guys. If you're going to tell lies, make them believable. Next they bring on Marcel and his brother Radu. And Sean asks them, is Andrei at fault? And of course they both say that they were both at fault, but Andrei was provoked, which is pretty much true. And Chuck said all we wanted to know is why he left Moldova. Chuck, you're not going to know because it's none of your bloody business. And then Sean asked his brother, do you know the reason why your brother left Moldova? And he said for a better life. And Sean asks again, but do you know the actual reason? And Jen said, it must be like so shameful that you won't even tell your own brother. Like, how bad is that? Shh. Listen, Jen, that's the sound of nobody caring what you think. And then we go on to the wedding from hell. And Charlie joins us and we hear Charlie's diatribe about the king of Moldova and how Andrei's the king here but he's nothing in America. And then they all argue again about the wedding and who paid for what and when. And Charlie said again, my dad didn't pay for all our weddings, it's not fair. Why did he pay for him? It's not fair. And the Ebird would like to say here, I'm making this statement to confirm for future historians and zoologists that yes, Charlie is actually a big giant baby. Just so you know. And then Andrei and Jen have really weird argument. According to Jen, Andrei told her, I'll have your dad eating out of my hand. And Andrei denies this. in a somewhat lacklustre manner. And Jen said, no, you definitely said it. That's what you said to me. You said it in the wedding. And although Jen is a massive liar, I believe her because one, if it's a lie, it's a really boring and crap one. If she was going to bother lying, I like to think she'd amp it up just a little bit. And secondly, I think it sounds exactly like the kind of thing that Andrei would say, I will have him eating out of my hand. So yeah, on the balance of probability, I think it's probably true. And Sean said, Chuck, do you feel like you've been taken advantage of? And he said yes. And I don't know why these guys want to tell Andrei that his food is doggy doo-doo. And I think if Jen had her way, she'd demonstrate her dislike for their food by vomiting at the table right in front of them after taking just one bite. And then finally they talk about Andrei and his work. Andrei said he wants to go into real estate. And Sean said, would you work for Chuck? And he said, I'd work for him as a partner, but not an employee. Oh, for God's sake, Andrei, who is it you think you are? Of course you'll be working for him. It's his business. Why would he bring you in as a partner? And again, it's all more fodder for their upcoming show. And I would just like to send a big message to TLC that if you bring this to our screens, we won't watch. We're uninterested. And so that's everything for this first part of the review. I'm going to try and drop another part later on today or tomorrow if I can. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Jen was lying about what Andrei said? I've got a feeling she was telling the truth. And what do you think about my new theory with Larissa? Do you think that she was just as boring as all hell and they just decided to pull the plug and this was a way to do it so that they didn't have to pay any money? So please, as usual, put your comments about anything from this tell-all down below. Just before I go, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Just click that red button for consistent content. And also you can follow me on Twitter at Ebird99. Please don't forget to like and share the video. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.